Okay, let's unpack this. When I say unpack this, I mean let's start with the most specific, just gloriously absurd detail about the future of human conception.
You're going straight for the gaming controller, aren't you?
I am absolutely going straight for the PlayStation 5 controller because, yes, the sources confirm it. The world's first baby from a fully automated IVF procedure was born recently.
And the engineer piloting it, Edward Alba, used a PS5 controller.
Yes. To, calibrate the microneedle? It's the perfect mix of high-stakes life creation and, a Saturday morning on the couch.
It is simultaneously so impressive and, you have to admit, completely ridiculous. It kind of shows that even in a fully automated system, you still need that human oversight.
But the oversight is now through consumer tech.
Right. And Alba was apparently so calm about it, he just said, it's just one more experiment. Well, that experiment, it seems, has paid off.
Paid off is an understatement. And that one event really sets the stage for our deep dive today. We are looking at this really aggressive and rapid integration of AI and robotics into in vitro fertilization, IVF.
And the context for this is just enormous. Infertility affects, 1 in 6 people of reproductive age around the world?
1 in 6. So that huge demand is the engine driving this whole push for automation.
What I find so fascinating here is how the source material connects 3 really distinct forces. You've got, first, this incredible technical leap, this idea of achieving accuracy beyond human capability in a lab.
Then you have the economics, this weird situation that's making Guadalajara, Mexico, the unexpected hub of this whole revolution.
And third, which is maybe the most important, is the ethical minefield. The transparency questions that pop up the second you let a black box algorithm make one of the most personal decisions a human can make.
So that's our mission today. It's a classic deep dive. We've got high-tech breakthroughs, the money trail, and the morality that's struggling to keep up.
Yeah, our goal is to really unpack how an AI is replacing the squishy hands of an embryologist and to understand the real-world trade-offs, both in the clinic and, ethically.
All right, let's start there. With mechanical embryologists itself. The gold standard for IVF is a procedure called ICSI. So walk us through why that has always been so reliant on human skill.
Okay, so ICSI stands for intracytoplasmic sperm injection, and it is exactly what it sounds like. A human embryologist has to manually pick out one single healthy sperm.
Yes, one.
Just one. And then physically pierce the outer layer of a single egg with a tiny needle to inject it.
Yeah.
It's all done under a microscope. It takes years of training and, absolute stillness.
It sounds like microsurgery, like you need the steady hand of a sculptor or something.
Exactly. But the thing is, that human variable is actually the weakest link in the chain.
Wait, how so?
Well, the sources quote an embryology expert, Jacques Cohen, who's very blunt about it. He says human staff can, quote, become tired and distracted. And that fatigue leads to these tiny little errors, a slight misalignment, a clumsy insertion that can just tank the odds of fertilization. So human variability is literally the enemy of a successful outcome.
I love that framing. It takes it out of the realm of sci-fi and puts it squarely into, process engineering. If you can eliminate the tired staff member or the lunch distraction, you get better results.
Precisely. And that's exactly what these companies like Overture Life and Conceivable Life Sciences are built to do, to eliminate that human variability entirely. They have machines that automate all 23 intricate steps of the ICSI procedure.
All 23.
Every single one. It's robotics providing consistency where, human dexterity just can't.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting because we're not just talking about a stable robotic arm. The machine is actually making judgment calls, right? Starting with which sperm to pick.
That's the first huge efficiency boost. The AI algorithm scans the entire sample and selects the optimal sperm cell based on morphology and motility, and it does it way faster and more consistently than a human eye ever could.
But then it gets to the preparation for the injection, which, reading the sources, sounds a little dramatic.
It is. The machine has to immobilize the sperm it's chosen, and the sources describe this part pretty vividly. It zaps the tails off with a laser.
It zaps them with a laser.
Violent, but apparently necessary for precision. You can't have it swimming away mid-procedure.
Wow. Okay. So a brutal but effective step.
Very. And once it's immobilized, the robotics perform the injection. And the lead engineer on this project is quoted as saying the system performs this with a level of accuracy beyond human capability. It's controlled down to the nanometer, and critically, it never gets tired.
So let's circle back to the controller for a second. If the machine is doing all that, the laser zapping, the injection, What was the PS5 controller actually doing? Was the engineer like manually aiming the needle?
That's a really important clarification. The sources suggest the controller was for the initial setup, for calibration, for gross positioning, getting the microneedle into the right visual field.
Okay, so it's like piloting the stage and the lighting, not performing the actual surgery.
Exactly. The human hand provides the starting coordinates, but the machine takes over for that mission-critical sequence, the part where human error is most likely.
And we know this works. There's concrete proof.
Absolutely. The sources detail that success story in Guadalajara. A 40-year-old woman had 5 eggs treated with this AI-assisted ICSI.
Wow.
4 were successfully fertilized. The second embryo transfer resulted in the birth of a healthy baby boy. And globally, we know at least 20 babies have been born using these kinds of robotic technologies.
Okay, so success established. Which brings us to the second major theme here, the economics of exporting life. Why Guadalajara? Why is this one city in Mexico becoming the unexpected global cradle for this revolution?
It's a perfect storm, really. It's immense cost disparity meeting regulatory flexibility.
Let's start with the cost chasm, as you called it.
Right. If you're looking for IVF in the United States, you're looking at minimum $20,000 to $30,000 per cycle.
That's just astronomical for most families.
Right.
And insurance almost never covers it, so it's a procedure for the wealthy.
Precisely. Now look south. In Mexico, the cost is often around $15,000, sometimes even less. But the clinics aren't just cheaper, they're offering these really aggressive financial packages designed for medical tourists.
Yeah, we saw some specific numbers on this. Clinics like InGenes.
Yes, InGenes offers these multi-round packages. You can get up to 4 cycles for between $11,000 and $16,000. Now, that doesn't include meds or genetic testing, but still.
Wait. 4 attempts for less than the price of one in the U.S.
Exactly. And they cite these really high success rates, sometimes up to 93% within those 4 rounds.
Okay, we have to pause on that number, 93%. Is that a live birth rate or a pregnancy rate? Because those are two very different things.
That's a great question, and that's where the marketing gets a little opaque. Typically, those high numbers refer to cumulative clinical pregnancy rates, which are always higher than live birth rates. But even if the live birth rate per cycle is, say, 40 or 50%, the financial calculation is a no-brainer.
You're getting 4 shots at it.
4 shots for the price of 1. It's a massive wealth inequality issue, really. Patients who can't get coverage in the U.S. are essentially driven to this because the barrier to parenthood is just too high at home.
Okay, so the money is one half of the story. What's the other half?
Regulatory arbitrage. Why can these systems be deployed and making babies in Guadalajara right now, but not so much in New York or London?
It's the FDA, right? Moving at the speed of a sloth swimming through molasses.
That's the perfect metaphor. The FDA's pace means most of these really cutting-edge AI applications just don't have formal U.S. approval yet. The process for a new medical device with novel AI is incredibly slow and complex.
So the tech is sprinting, and the governance is it's lagging way behind.
Which creates a huge opportunity. Mexico offers a more, let's say, flexible regulatory environment. These AI systems are currently regulated under a really broad framework for general medical devices.
So what's the actual problem with that? Treating it like a general device.
It means the system doesn't have to go through specialized testing for things like algorithmic safety or bias or transparency, all things the FDA would absolutely demand. They're basically treating a complex, autonomous decision-making engine the same way they'd treat a new kind of stethoscope.
And that lag lets the clinics adopt this tech almost immediately.
And it creates this whole logistical ecosystem. We saw that in the patient accounts. It's not like you're just flying into the unknown.
No, it's highly organized. U.S. patients travel for the main procedures, but they use their local OBGYNs at home for monitoring before and after.
Right, which minimizes the time you have to spend abroad. And the communication sounds amazing. One patient mentioned having direct contact with their doctor on WhatsApp.
Instant, personalized communication. You'd never get that in a big U.S. clinic system.
It's a huge part of the appeal. But we have to mention the major medical caveat that came up. The risk of ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, or OHSS.
Which is a really serious complication of IVF.
Extremely serious. And if that happens while you're in Guadalajara, you could be looking at an unplanned, extended hospital stay, emergency care, far from home. So you're trading financial risk for a very real, acute medical risk. It's a serious trade-off.
That's a critical point. And it transitions us perfectly to the deepest concerns here. the ethics of what some call the black box cradle.
Yeah, once AI starts selecting who gets born, you're firmly in the world of bioethics. Researchers from Monash University are raising these flags about the dehumanization of reproduction. The argument is that computer algorithms are now making decisions about who is brought into the world.
And the core of that is the lack of transparency, right? The black box problem. The AI picks the best embryo, but
Yeah.
so what? If it works, who cares how it chooses?
You have to care when the stakes are this high. The patient and the doctor, they often don't know the exact criteria. Is the AI optimizing for implantation chance? Or for certain genetic markers? Is its definition of health based on a really narrow set of training data? If the reasoning is opaque, you can't really give informed consent.
You can't consent to a choice if you don't understand the process behind it.
Exactly. And that opacity leads straight to the risk of algorithmic bias, which is maybe the most dangerous long-term threat here.
How so?
Well, think about it. If the AI is trained mostly on data from a specific homogeneous demographic, say healthy embryos from one ethnic group, it risks penalizing diversity.
So a perfectly healthy embryo from a different background might get flagged as less optimal just because it doesn't fit the pattern the AI was trained on.
Right. You risk embedding existing social biases right into the biological selection process. You could unintentionally filter out genetic diversity. It's a profound consequence.
Which is why the bioethicists are arguing that patients have to be told if AI is being used. And crucially, they need to have an opt-out mechanism.
Because some people might just have a genuine moral objection to letting a machine make that call over a human doctor. It's not just a clinical space, it's a deeply ethical one.
And what about accountability? If the system makes a mistake, the software glitches, the algorithm has a flaw, who's responsible? That's the responsibility gap, isn't it?
It is, and it's a huge gap. In most legal frameworks, liability is pinned on human negligence. A doctor made a mistake, an engineer didn't maintain the machine.
But if the machine is operating with accuracy beyond human capability, where's the human negligence?
That's the problem. You can't sue the AI. And it's hard to sue the human who just pressed start. In places like Mexico, with that regulatory lag, the legal structures just haven't caught up to address errors made by autonomous software.
So it sounds like we're trading agency and legal clarity for efficiency and better odds.
That is the ultimate trade-off in this whole revolution.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've seen these two massive forces driving this. The undeniable global demand, 1 in 6 people, and the crushing economic pressure, the power of $15,000 versus $30,000.
And we've seen that what let this tech move from the lab to the clinic so fast is that regulatory arbitrage. The technology sprinted ahead into places like Mexico, where it could be deployed while the rest of the world is still debating the rule.
And at the center of it, we are seeding this deeply personal, intimate decision, which life gets a chance to a machine. And we're doing it because the algorithm is more precise and less fallible than our, quote, clumsy, coffee-fueled hands.
Yeah, the clinical math on precision and consistency is winning the day over human intuition.
Which brings us to a final, provocative thought for you to chew on. Since this AI promises to select the optimal embryo, potentially making IVF safer and more effective, the next question is inevitable. If the technology is objectively superior and significantly cheaper, is the choice to reject it just the last vestige of human agency? Or does that choice become an ethical barrier to parenthood for the millions who can only afford the automated, less risky option? At what point, if the robot is quantifiably better at making babies, does human preference become medically and maybe even morally indefensible? Something to think about next time you pick up your PlayStation controller. Thanks for diving in with us.